Hi, this is Lucy, your Clarity Coach, and welcome to Tuesday Talks at 3. This is the time series where I shall endeavor to help you with strategies to keep you aligned to your goals, that I will be able to help you with your tasks to manage efficiently and effectively in both your personal and your professional lives. I promised to give you 5 episodes in the Time series, and we've already covered 2. In fact, thank you so much for the questions that have come through, for liking the conversations, and for even paying it forward from what you have told me. It was William Payne who said, "Time is what we want most, but we use the worst." In this way, I gave you one tool, tried and tested, that I have personally used, and it has helped me in my productivity and efficiency in achieving my goals and on my continued journey towards my goals. And that is knowing the difference between urgency and importance. And just being able to understand which one means what to me, because it means something different to everybody. It's a personal conversation that you must have with yourself. So what is urgent to you could be important to me, and what is urgent to me could be important to you. So you need to have this conversation with yourself, have that meeting of me, myself, and I. That was our first episode. Our second episode was around what Buddha said, which is, the trouble is you think that you have time. The trouble is you think that you have time. And in this way, I shared with you again another tried and tested tool that has worked and continuously works for me, which is the SMART framework. That means every time that I plan to do something, I go back and I test it against the SMART framework. And I ask myself, is it specific? When I hear myself say it, is it specific to exactly what I want it to do for me? The outcome. Can I hear it in the statement? If a stranger who has no idea who I am heard this goal of mine, can they actually understand already? Or will they start asking questions like, when will we know that it has been done successfully or not? That's the M, the measurement. When you hear it, can you hear that I have put in a measure to it? Is it achievable, or is it something that is just a dream that we come up with? Because we are dreamers by nature. We don't want to kill that. We are dreamers by nature, but how often do we get our dreams off the shelf, write it down, and begin to turn it into a goal? So is it achievable? Is it relevant or realistic? That means in my season of life, in the things that I'm doing, does this goal make sense? And then last but not least, time bound, the timeliness of it. When will it be done? By what period do we know that now we stop doing it and we go back and we monitor and evaluate? So that is a tool that I continue to use. It is SMART. Doesn't mean that because you apply SMART to your goals the first time, that's it. You don't revisit. It is a continuous journey, and this is the beautiful thing about life. So when I get to a certain place, my priorities have shifted. My knowledge, my skill level has been upskilled or advanced. It is time to revisit my goal and see, is it still relevant? Do I need to learn a new skill? Do I need to heighten the specification of the goal? It really is up to you. Like I say, it's a very personal experience. In my case, I keep on revisiting my goals and I keep on testing them against the SMART framework. So that is when Buddha says the trouble is you think that you have time. If you keep on testing, you are using your time very effectively, bringing us to the third episode, which is today, and that is blocking it. It's time blocking, and we'll break that down a little bit so that you can understand how you can apply it. For me, it continues to work. In fact, people may say that I'm a stickler for time, and at times it rubs off well, and for others it rubs off, terribly. Fourthly, we'll be looking at procrastination busters, because now that you know what it is that you want to do, what is holding you back? I ask you a direct question right now, and please share with me here in the chat. You made a promise to yourself, whether you made it beginning of the year, whether you made it in the first quarter, maybe you made it the beginning of the month. But this particular promise has not advanced. The journey has not even started to execution. You've not even arrived perhaps halfway through. The question is why? What is holding you back? When one of the reasons is procrastination, and it is not unique. All of us experience one sense of procrastination, and I'll be covering that up in the fourth session. Our last session is about mastering your schedule like a pro. That means you become like those people that you admire, those role models that you have, who seemingly have it all together, who seemingly set out to do something, and they're people of their word. And when you measure yourself against them, you just find that you're falling short. You keep on saying, when I grow up, I want to be like so-and-so, because of their knack of being able to have a schedule that works for them. How do they have more than 24 hours in a day, you ask yourself? How are they able to do all these things and still be present, relevant, effective, efficient? That is mastering your schedule like a pro. And that will be our last episode of this July in this series that I aptly named the Time Series. Well, just back to time. It is July and it is the midpoint of the year. It is an opportune time for you to monitor and evaluate how far you've come. Because on that night, on December 31st, 2023, you made a promise to yourself. Whether you were imbibed as you were making this promise, whether you were emotionally charged as you were making this promise, whether you were coming from a point of a year that was so hard that now you were saying, this year is different, I'm going to own it. Whatever it is, we all found ourselves in that moment before the clock struck into a new year. And we made promises, but how many of us can actually say that we've already advanced with this promise and we are moving and it's effective and it's efficient? How many of us can say that? A higher percentage is actually saying, I cannot even remember what I said 6 or 7 months ago. This is why today we are speaking about the Time Series. Time is fickle. It comes and goes. You need to be able to pay attention to whatever time you have available to you and make it work. So today we're going to be talking about blocking it. Because once you lose it, you've lost it. Time cannot be made up. It's gone. If you calculate the number of years that you've already lived and you multiply that by the number of days in the year and the number of hours in a day, it can be very scary when you see how much more time you have because you've lost time. But again, we can always make it up in the time blocking in this Time Series. And the question I have today for you is, what one tool helps you improve your productivity and focus? What one tool helps you? Well, for me, it is time blocking. And I shall endeavor to share with you how this has worked for me. But first, let's start with understanding what this time blocking phenomena is. Well, it's the effective technique of blocking out time during your day so that you can enhance your productivity. Being so focused on ensuring that this is the time I'm going to be doing X, Y, Z, because it involves scheduling specific blocks of time. And when you start to schedule specific blocks of time, you find that you are able to move from one task to another seamlessly, effortlessly, and have a sense of fulfillment at the end of the day. This is more than just having a to-do list, because a to-do list actually starts off the day very well. But how about taking this to-do list and attaching an element of time to it? This means that when a certain time is elapsed, you move on to another task. You've given it the time that it needs. You see, this method of time blocking reduces distractions. And yes, we are human and we get distracted so easily. You could be seated in a cafe having a cup of tea or cup of coffee or a juice, and you're working on something. Perhaps you're reflecting. And then some sound of music comes on, or somebody passes, or a noise that you hear distracts you, and you lose your train of thought. Being able to time block will bring you back gracefully to where you're supposed to be. Because your mind and your subconscious already reminds you, hey, we're supposed to be doing something else. The lack of having this time blocking mechanism will force you then to be going with the wind. It's a beautiful place when we go with the wind and we go with the flow. It's a beautiful place. But therein we cannot measure our productivity and effectiveness. We need to know exactly what we're doing at that point so that we can gracefully come back to it. We acknowledge the distractions because this is life. In life, the distractions are there to color our lives. How we respond to those distractions is what is key. So what is distracting you right now? I can tell you for one, even as I speak on this live, I've got messages coming in. I've got messages, and perhaps at times I've got messages, maybe I've been looking for somebody the entire morning and this is when they're coming through. That is a distraction. But notice, I am with you 100%. Doesn't mean that those messages are not scrolling here on my screen. But I am acknowledging them and then gracefully coming back to what we are doing today, which is Tuesday Talks at 3. And today I'm enhancing that way that you handle time. I hope that you can stay with me right through to the end. So in the definition where you'd be asking, what is time blocking? It's a method of scheduling your tasks. It divides your day into more focused areas like blocks, just as you hear them, blocks. How do you proceed? What has worked very well for me is understanding the basics. When you get to the basics, every time you transcend, there is a level of a foundation that you go back to, and then you jump like in a trampoline, or you pivot from that point. So your basics are very key, and you need to know what your basics are. So even right now, as I ask you, what are your highest priority tasks or activities that need focused attention each day? That's a foundation. That's basic. If you do not know what highest priority tasks you have, then you have not taken a moment to appreciate the basics of your day. There are certain things that you do without thinking. For instance, if I was to ask you how do you currently allot your time or allocate your time during the day when it comes to freshening up, when it comes to going to sleep, when it comes to having a meal, think about it. The average human being wakes up in the morning and brushes their teeth. Yes, there are many other things that we could be doing, but brushing our teeth and freshening up is a standard for the average human being. Yet you haven't blocked time. It's something that happens automatically because it is now ingrained. You've been doing over time. And no matter what happens, you're not going to walk out of that door without freshening up. This is the muscle that we're building when it comes to time blocking. It's very key, and I hope that basic foundation syncs with you. Remember, our question today is, what one tool helps you to improve your productivity and focus? I'd love for you to share here in the thread so that I could sample some. What specific outcomes are you looking for to achieve each time block? So think about anything that you want to do during the day. Is it a highest priority task? Is it a medium priority task? Is it a low priority task? Take a moment just now, for just a moment, even just 10 seconds, and imagine, or rather figure out, you being here for Tuesday Talks at 3. Was it a high priority? Was it a medium priority? Was it low priority? Did you just hop on because you saw the notification on your time feed? Or had you booked yourself this half an hour to be at Tuesday Talks at 3? There are many ways that we can be present. We can be intentional about it, or we can go with the flow. We can look for opportunities, give ourselves some time in the day. You see, when you ask yourself what the specific outcome is, this is when you apply yourself. So maybe for you, you want to be able to have some sort of personal development, or fulfillment. Maybe that's why you're here. That is your specific outcome. So you will make sure that every Tuesday at 3, you've got an alarm. Whether your Instagram sends you a notification that LMC, Lucy Macridis, Tuesday Talks at 3 is live, whether that happens or not, you know that at a certain time you need to be here. This is time blocking. So it's something you're already doing, maybe you're not even aware of. Just like brushing your teeth, just like knowing it's breakfast time, or it's lunchtime, just like knowing it's time to go and pick your kids from school, or it's time to go to the grocery store to buy something. Time blocking. So this is understanding your time blocking. It just helps you to schedule your day. It helps you to divide your day. Then you know you're supposed to be in one place at a certain time. In fact, you get an aha moment and say, oh, I was supposed to be writing my thesis at this moment. I was supposed to be completing my application letter at this moment. So that is it. Learning the basics of time blocking are key. And that is the first place that we would be looking at right now. The second one is creating effective time blocks, because you can just put in a time block, but it is not effective for you. It doesn't enhance your productivity. So how do you determine the right blocks? I guess you would be asking me. I would say, once you identify your high priority tasks, these are the things that are so key for you. This is you moving from your to-do list and just looking at your to-do list and rearranging them and seeing which one is a high priority tasks, going down to medium, going down to low. You allocate dedicated shots of time. Make sure that they're short, not too long. I mean, I'll give you a practical example. By the time I'm creating a training course, it takes me 10 hours to create one. AI has really come to help me to refine my training program. But I actually sit down and I create a training program with my customer in mind. And because of AI, after those 10 hours are over, whether it's 2 hours today, it's 3 hours tomorrow, 4 hours the next day, I will not sit for a period of 10 hours, because that takes away from the effectiveness of the training. My mind is already tired, so I'm not applying myself the way I did in my first 2 hours. So I time block it. That is how I pick out my high priority tasks. Once I'm done, I go and throw it into artificial intelligence with a few prompts. And then what comes out is more refined. I still need to work on it a bit more. But there now I have my training 10 hours plus later. So how then do I dedicate time shots or time blocks? I am then able to come back and say, I'm going to work on this particular part for 2 hours or 3 hours or half an hour. And that's what I do. So maybe in your case, if you're not a trainer like me, you may be working on deep work that needs your attention. And so you start out in the morning and you say, I'm a morning person. So maybe 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning, before there's any distraction, I'm going to be working on the aspects or the key aspects of this strategic plan. I'm going to reflect on my budget, on my business plan. That's what I wanted to say. Now you've allocated time. That means you're creating effective time blocks. And throughout the day, other things are going to arrange themselves around these time blocks. And you will find that your day ends up making you feel fulfilled because you paid attention. Now, I say this because I am one of those people who gets distracted by multitasking. You see, when I multitask, I'm unable to focus on one skill at a time. I'm unable to give it the time and energy and focus that it requires. And therefore, I keep on revisiting it to refine it. But when I take time to just sit on one task and not multitask, I find that once I'm done, I never have to revisit it. I just need to come and polish over before I go in to see a client to remind myself what I had written, what it was about. But I multitask a lot, and I know the danger that has. It uses more of my time in the long run. So I'm a recovering multitasker. The thing is, I have an awareness of how it is impacting my work. So we are creating effective time blocks. Another thing that works for me is blocking in rest periods. And I know this may not sound right, and somebody may come back and say, come on, Lucy, you did not say that. Yes, I'm going to say it. So when I work, this is my working station. There's certain things that nourish me, that energize me, that I am able to be recharged by. So that is me going into the kitchen, it's in this direction, to get myself a cup of tea. I take herbal tea. And I make sure that as I am making that tea, I'm in that moment. I don't allow my mind to meander. I'm in that moment, and I'm taking that moment as a downtime moment. When it is my lunch hour, I go and I sit in a different part of the house, and I take in an episode of a series. So it could be anything from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. And therefore, I unplug from what I've been doing here, which is perhaps Tuesday Talks at 3, perhaps it is my coaching sessions, perhaps I'm mentoring or I'm training, whatever it is, I then unplug. And yes, at times I want to go on with the next episode because this was such a robust one, but I don't. Because I have time blocked, I've created this effective time block and I've included my rest time into it, I'm very disciplined. It could be that I then leave my desk and walk out of the house and I go and I do my walk for 45 minutes to 1 hour. I am remembering that this is my downtime. This is when I recharge. It is important so that when I come back, I can show up as 100%, if that is English, as 100% as I can be, my better version. Right now, I'm with you and I can tell you my screen is going crazy with my WhatsApp messages, with notifications. But these are distractions. I am here for Tuesday Talks at 3. So how do you feel? It's a direct question for you. How do you feel in instances where you have time blocked and in instances where you haven't time blocked? Take a moment now and just consider, what is it that has worked for you? Is it important for you to incorporate breaks? I hope your answer will be yes. And if it is not yes, I would encourage you after this session to just go and incorporate some time, even if it is just 5 minutes of break. If it means you're shutting your computer, if it means you're putting your phone on silent, 5 minutes. And then I would like you to do this. I'd like you to just sit wherever you are, kick off your feet, and kick off your feet. I love that. Oh, don't kick off your feet. Kick off your shoes. Plant your feet flat on the ground. Flat so that you can actually feel the ground touching the bottom of your feet and your back is straight up. And in those 5 minutes, concentrate on your breathing. Just breathe in and out, ever so slowly, in and out. This is a natural filtration system that God has given us. It calms us from any anxiety and stress that we could be facing. That could be alluded to the time that perhaps we have lost. It could be alluded to us not understanding or being in the flow of the task we were just doing. I get into this a lot when I'm doing my training programs. I just feel something is not gelling. It's just not gelling. So instead of pushing myself and bringing on the anxiety and stress, I take a 5-minute power break. And I do that. I kick off my shoes. I plant my feet into the ground with my back straight up because this helps with the breathing. And I breathe in and out. I close my eyes. I listen to whatever is going on, the distractions. I then bring myself back to my breathing. This is creating effective time blocks and also helping us to be able to apply this recharge in our bodies. It's key for us. We are all human beings. We're not machines. We don't keep on going. I mean, even a car needs to go in for service. A well-oiled machine means that somebody was there oiling it, tightening the nuts that became loose. So this is your chance. But many a times, because we've got so many things going on in this world, where we've got side hustles, we've got main hustles, we've got families, we've got hobbies, we've got school that we're going to, we've got Tuesday talks at 3 that we need to attend, we tend to forget about ourselves. So when we are creating these effective time blocks, I seriously encourage you to create effective time blocks. And when we look at those effective time blocks, we are looking at us being able to have a tool that helps us to improve our productivity and our focus. And I assure you that even if you tried the breathing right now with me, you will find that perhaps my voice is clearer, the message is clearer, you're able to tune in better. These are little small nuances that you can carry out for yourself. Remember that we are talking about the time series, where I shall endeavor to help you learn strategies, maybe some tools that can help you to manage your time effectively, whether in your personal or in your professional lives. And if there's anything that is sticking, that is an aha moment, share it with me here on the thread, and we will be able to sample it. Last but not least is about overcoming common challenges. Life is not a flat line. It goes up and down. Somebody reminded me today that even your heartbeat or whatever it is goes up and down. It doesn't go flat. And when it does, you're as good as dead. So life, up and down, exciting things, stress, distress. This is life. And this comes with challenges. So you may ask, of the challenges that arise, how do I address them, Lucy? I'd say through flexibility. There were seasons in my life where things needed to be cast in stone, and I lost the opportunity of being fluid and flexible, and the effectiveness and the productivity that comes with it. It gave me discipline, but now I know that I lost so much more. Today, I talk about flexibility and adjustments where needed, because change is inevitable. Change is inevitable, and it gives you a chance to grow. And this is where I maintain my discipline now. I lost the time then, but now I apply myself, and it's so good to see you here. Lillian, I see you there. I see you. Jerry is there. Thank you so much, Jerry. Amaya, I see you, Amaya, there. I see Sue. Thank you so much, Sue. I see Maru, you're here, and Sharon, you're here. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are on the third part, and we're looking at overcoming common challenges. How do you handle unexpected changes or interruptions in your schedule? Right now, what is happening in my city, Nairobi, I don't know about the rest of you, is we are having our own demonstrations. And we are out there saying what it is that we want and how it is that we want it. This is an interruption, a distraction to what we are meant to be doing. But it is much needed. So how do you handle this? You had planned to be doing something on Tuesday morning, but now you cannot go into the CBD because of the demonstration or the planned demonstrations. How do you manage that? How do you manage that change in your life? What strategies then do you use to adjust your time blocks? Because you had planned that this morning, maybe between 10 and 11, you were going to be at the immigration office completing your application for your passport, because you have a bigger plan ahead. You're going to be traveling. If you remember, in our first episode, I shared with you the Eisenhower matrix. And with the Eisenhower matrix, I gave you 4 different areas, quadrants, and one of them was scheduling. So in this case, you have scheduled your time to be somewhere. It's not an urgent task, but it's important for you in the long run because of where you want to be in 6 months' time, maybe in a year. You need to start the application process for your passport. But today, here we are. This is the day that you had scheduled, maybe a month ago. And now things have changed because change is inevitable. So what kind of strategies do you use to adjust your time blocks when you're faced with these changes? This is a personal question. Think about it and see how best you can be able to answer it for yourself, for your best practice. Talk about best practices. Can you recall a time when you successfully adapted to change? How was that? What was your take home? How can you apply that today? That is how you overcome common challenges, looking at best practices, looking at being flexible. And this is key because this encourages one to reflect on the successes that you have had in life and how to apply them. And the lessons, many people call them failures, I call them lessons. And the lessons that you have experienced that you're going to apply in your life in this particular instant. Well, in conclusion, our question today was, what one tool helps you to improve productivity and focus? My answer is time blocking, because I don't want to lose time. I don't want to lose it. I hope that that is your answer right now, that you're like, yes, yes, yes. I'm part of that WhatsApp group, Lucy. I'm going to be using time blocking. I'm starting now. Just remember, put in an element of rest period, because your cells need to rejuvenate, not only nighttime when you're sleeping, but during the day. You need to detach and come back rejuvenated. It is my hope that you are now guided in understanding the key aspects of time blocking. It's not just as simple as a to-do list, but allocating effective time blocks that make sense for you in this season. So time blocking, once again, enhances productivity by dedicating focused periods of tasks, minimizing any distraction that may come in your way so that you can maximize on your productivity. Some takeaways for you on key aspects of time blocking. Basics. Figure out what your basics are. Remember the high priority tasks, the medium priority tasks, the low priority tasks. Figure them out. Even right now you can do it. Start today. In 21 days, you'll get the hang of it. And then schedule your tasks. Just put them in there, but make sure that you've got effective time blocking. You're not just putting it in there for the sake of putting it in there to look like you're busy being busy. Schedule it so that those outcomes that you were looking for, you will achieve them. You will be able to speak to them. And third, but not least, is overcome challenges with flexibility. Figure out the other ways to skin a cat, like I like to use here in my schedules. Just because this is the route to go somewhere does not mean there are no other alternative routes. It's just your mindset. So the basics, the scheduling, and the flexibility are my takeaways from you. Benjamin Franklin said, "Lost time is never found again." May the time blocking help you to increase your productivity and to achieve your goals. The recording of this session will be up on our YouTube channel, which is LMC Consultancy. Get there, hit the subscription button, notification button, comment, share, do what you need to do so that you can share this message of time blocking so that people don't lose it. Once the 24 hours are gone, they're gone. There's no making them up. It is a sad case, but it's something that you can work on from an intentional point of view. So as we speak, my social media platforms continue to educate and inspire. You're here on IG, so you find me as Lucy_your Clarity Coach. You can also find me on TikTok as Clarity Coach Lucy, on Facebook as Lucy_your Clarity Coach, on LinkedIn as Lucy Makridis, and on X